Hello, everyone, and welcome to week one of our course, An Introduction to Economics. Before we dive into the material, there are a few administrative items I wanted to go over. The first of which is our text that we will follow throughout the semester. It will be Economics Today, the Microview, 20th edition. If you'd like to get a physical text of the book, it will look like this, and you are welcome to purchase that wherever you'd like. However, if you're okay following along on an e-text, our e-text for this course is found within the modules section on the home page. This course follows inclusive access. What that means is if you paid for inclusive access as part of your tuition, you'll get the e-text, you'll get access to my econ lab and all of the supplementary material like additional lectures and activities as part of your tuition. If you haven't paid for inclusive access as part of your tuition, I'm still going to encourage you to purchase the e-text and access to my econ lab through the modules link as you receive a discount for doing so. The second thing I wanted to go over are our first two discussion posts, which are found on the orientation module on our home page. They are an introduction to yourself and setting a standard for success. These first two discussion posts are very deliberately due on the first week of the course. And the reason I've done that is there's quite a long wait list of individuals who want to take this course. And I want to give as many of those individuals as possible an opportunity to do so. So, to express your interest and dedication to the course throughout the semester, I'm going to ask you to get those first two discussion posts in and get them in on time. The third thing I wanted to go over is how this course's final grade is weighted. 50% of your final grade will be determined by your scores on the homeworks and discussion posts. 35% will be determined by your unit exams, and the last 15% will be determined by your score on the final exam and final project. I have found my most successful students are the ones who dedicate the time to get 100% on all of their homework and discussions. And the reason for that is it represents half of your total grade. Additionally, if you do really well on those homeworks, you're going to do pretty well on the unit exams, you're going to do pretty well on the final exam, and you're going to do pretty well on the final project. The 35% of the unit exams will consist of 7 unit exams, which can be accessed in my econ lab. And at the end of the course, I will drop 2 of your lowest scores to see if it will affect your final grade. Finally, the last 15% is determined by the final exam and final project. The final exam, just like your unit exams, will be taken in my econ lab. The difference is it's timed to 3 hours, and the 50 multiple choice questions will all be written by me. Finally, the final project is going to follow the material throughout our course. So I find the students that are most successful on their final project are the ones that write each given section as we learn it in that given week. So take the time now to go ahead and click the Assignments tab, take a look at that final project, and if you have any questions, hit the Discussions link on our homepage and you'll find a discussion link specific to our final project. With all of that out of the way, let's talk an introduction to economics. And no introduction to economics is quite complete without first defining what economics is. Economics, as defined by the text, is the study of how people allocate their limited resources to satisfy their unlimited wants. I'm going to simplify that even a little bit more. Economics is the study of scarcity. Here on the planet Earth, we have limited resources restricted by how many we can grow or mine within our planet. Our wants are unlimited. Gee, if I had the choice, I would walk out of my house today and choose to either drive away in my Ferrari, maybe my Lamborghini, maybe my Nissan GTR, and then I would choose to go to either the fanciest restaurants, maybe I'm in the mood for a hamburger that day, or maybe I'm in the mood for Italian food. I have all of these wants, but they're limited by two things. One, unfortunately, my income. I work for the state government, so I have a limited income. And in addition, it's limited by the resources that are available here on Earth for me to choose. So, economics is going to help us answer three fundamental philosophical questions. The first is, what goods should we produce? Second, who should produce these goods? How should we produce these goods? And the third is, who should receive these goods? And there's three different market models that answer these questions. The first is a free market model. And in a free market model, the populace as a whole decides what quantity of goods should be produced and at what price they're willing to purchase those goods at. We'll learn a lot more about this free market model as we study chapters 3 and 4 in the coming weeks, which are the supply and demand modules. The second solution is a command and control economy. And in a command and control economy, we typically have a central unit, maybe a government, maybe a king, maybe an elected group of people that determine what goods should be produced, who should receive them, and how they should be produced. Within these different systems, there's this idea of a socialist market model, and this is where laborers will typically determine those questions. Finally, there is a mixed market system. And in a mixed market system, our central government figure will determine some of the goods within our economy, and the general populace of the people, through that free market system, will determine other goods within our economy. So, where does the United States stand in all of this? Well, we are a mixed market economy. We have some goods and services, like our military, our parts system, and all of the goods and services our government provides, which are determined by a command and control economy. And we have other goods which are controlled by the populace, our general supply and demand of those goods. Economics takes on two primary different perspectives. The first one, which is this course, takes on the perspective of the individual and the firm, and how individuals and firms determine what goods to produce, how to produce them, and to whom will receive them. The second aggregates all of these individuals and all of these firms together into one big economy, and that's called macroeconomics. And if you haven't taken that course already, I'm sure you will be taking it soon. Within economics, there are a lot of different theories, there's a lot of different models, and there's a lot of different concepts that we're going to be studying throughout the semester. These models and theories all have assumptions tied to them. And if these assumptions are proven false, then our theories and our models will also not work. They'll be proven false. The first two assumptions that the book goes over are our rationality assumption. And this assumes that people are going to make decisions that make them better off. They are not going to choose a decision that makes them worse off. That would be irrational. The second one is this idea of the self-interest assumption. And under the self-interest assumption, that's saying that you and I as individuals or firms are going to respond to incentives. And if there's one incentive that's better than the next, we're always going to follow rationality and choose that incentive that makes us the most better off. This assumption follows most of the studies of economics. However, there's a lot of popularity behind behavioral economics in which the rationality assumption and the self-interest assumption don't always have to be assumed true. So make sure you know what field of economics you're studying and what assumptions are attached to that model in order for that model to be useful for you. Finally, the text is going to go over this concept and idea of positive economics and normative economics. Positive economics is proved and backed by either mathematic theory or economic theory. Normative economics is things as they ought to be. Even if something in normative economics feels like it should be true, if it's not backed up by economic theory, if it's not backed up by mathematic theory, it's a normative statement. If it is backed up by one of those theories, it's a positive statement. Those are the primary concepts within the first chapter, an introduction to economics, of our book. Next week, we'll be going over opportunity cost, which is a really important concept, and we'll be diving a little bit more into that concept of scarcity. The final thing before I say goodbye that I want you to know is that these lectures aren't intended to replace your text. I'm not going to go over every single concept in detail. So please, please, please make sure you're taking the time to not only read that e-text, but go through those different resources that we discussed in the modules tab. With that out of the way, if you have any questions about Chapter 1, feel free to let me know either by messaging me privately, or if you feel like the whole class can benefit from it, please post it within our general questions discussion tab, and we'll talk to you there. Look forward to it. Thanks.